Firstly, thanks for your support on my previous Fantastic Beasts theories. I really appreciate it. This video isn't actually a theory, it's just me explaining something that bothered me during the film. I find the word obscurial really hard to say. Hello there, how are you doing? So, since Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them came out, I must have seen about 100 theories on Ariana Dumbledore being an obscurial. And I've been told by multiple different people to make a video on Ariana Dumbledore being an obscurial. So many times. Too many times. But as I said, it's been done, and yes, I do believe it to be true. However, I also believe that it was completely intended by J.K. Rowling. And while everyone's been obsessing over Ariana Dumbledore's obscurus, is that the correct use of the word? Because I really have no idea on how to use it. Like seriously, right now, Ariana Dumbledore's story is second on trending on Pottermore. Right behind all the times Ron and Hermione should have snogged. Really great article, brilliant read, would recommend to anyone. And this seems to have taken attention away from the thing that plagued me during the film. And that is, why wasn't Harry Potter an obscurial? Please say I wasn't the only one. Okay, if you haven't copped on, let me explain. We learnt in Fantastic Beasts that when young witches or wizards are forced to repress their magical talent through psychological or physical abuse, they develop a dark parasitical magical force inside of them, called an obscurus. So why didn't Harry develop an obscurus? The Dursleys treated him like, well, as Dumbledore put it in The Half-Blood Prince, you never treated Harry as a son. He has known nothing but neglect and often cruelty at your hands. However unwelcome, however badly treated, you have at least grudgingly allowed him house room. They suppressed his magic throughout his childhood. Once, Aunt Petunia, tired of Harry coming back from the barber's looking as though he hadn't been at all, had taken a pair of kitchen scissors and cut his hair so short he was almost bald, except for his fringe, which she left to hide that horrible scar. Dudley had laughed himself silly at Harry, who had spent a sleepless night imagining school the next day, where he was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and sellotape glasses. Next morning, however, he had got up to find his hair as exactly as it had been before Aunt Petunia had sheared it off. He had been given a week in the cupboard for this, even though he had tried to explain that he couldn't explain how it had grown back so quickly. That's one clear example of him being punished for using magic.
It was like magic!
There's no such thing as magic.
And he was also forbidden to ask questions about his parents. And these just seem like ideal conditions to create an obscurus. And I thought that this was solid evidence for a good theory proving that the whole Harry Potter universe had one huge flaw, being that Harry should have become an obscurial, meaning that he would have never gone to Hogwarts, meaning that the events of the books would have never taken place. But I was, well, wrong. I wasn't the only person who thought of this, and I read a couple of interesting articles, links to which will be found in the description, and have used them and some of my own ideas to explain why Harry wasn't an obscurial. So, if you were like me and have been wondering why Harry wasn't an obscurial since the idea of an obscurial has been brought up, here's why. You see, despite being punished for these actions of magic, Harry didn't know that he was a wizard, or that magic even existed for that matter. He didn't know that he could control the things that were happening, like the glass disappearing, in the first place to suppress the magic. He just thought that the things that happened were just weird. Unlike Credence, he wasn't whipped or beaten over these instances of showing magical ability. However, I do want to bring up that I believe that an obscurius can be created purely through psychological abuse, not just physical abuse. And therefore, Harry wasn't afraid to show his magical ability because he didn't know he was doing it. The Dursleys just wanted to ignore these powers. And despite punishing him for these things, he didn't think he was being blamed, he just thought they were being cruel to him because they hated him and didn't want him as a son, rather than the fact that he was actually to blame for these weird instances. So when he had his outbursts, and yes, all the examples I went through earlier were outbursts, but these outbursts just weren't dark, parasitical outbursts like Credence's or Ariana's, because Harry didn't have an obscurus. There it is, I made a theory and debunked it, all in the same video, and it was still pretty short, so here are some points and questions for you to think about and discuss in the comments section. I'm sure there are a lot of you thinking and ready to comment that J.K. Rowling probably hadn't even thought of an obscurial when she created the first Harry Potter book. I personally wouldn't put it against her, considering she literally created an entire universe in her head. And there might actually be evidence for the fact that she thought of the idea of an obscurial when she created the first Harry Potter book, since Professor McGonagall argued strongly against leaving Harry with the Dursleys. And that might be because she feared the creation of an obscurus. Another thing is, my family has owned this copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone since 1997, and the other day someone left a comment asking, who's the person on the back? So if you have any idea who this character is, please let me know down in the comments section below. But my main question is, why would Dumbledore, of all people, leave Harry with 3 muggles? Now, I want to avoid the comments about the blood protection keeping him safe while in the house. I know that. My question is, since 3 muggles attacked his sister, causing her to repress her magic, why didn't Dumbledore, of all people, fear that the Dursleys might cause Harry to repress his magic? I don't know, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, leave a like on this video and hit subscribe and watch some of my other Harry Potter videos here. And I hope I'll see you next time.